Well, hello everyone. Good evening to you all, and welcome to Virtual Church, where we are tonight in Harlem, where if I press this button, we hear a very noisy organ. This is the very famous Müller organ in the city centre of Harlem, which is hiding just behind the lamp over there. And the reason we're using this organ is twofold. A, it's a wonderful organ, and we haven't used it for a long time. And B, we are in the middle of preparing for the forthcoming Bach organ recital on the 4th of December, played by 7 individual organists. And so they were here yesterday, and a few more people are coming tomorrow. And so rather than changing the organ over to an English organ, I thought, why not try Virtual Church with this very famous organ? So we started with the G major by Bach, the Prelude in G, BWV 541. I'm sure that I shut the doors, Bobby, so you weren't in. And then we went into a Worship the Lord in the Beauty of Holiness, bow down before him, his glory proclaims. So today is Christ the King Sunday, where we actually recognize Christ as the King, the leader. So I think that was a good one to start with. I worship the Lord, I worship the King, in the beauty of holiness, and then bow down before him. But it was requested by John Allen, who says the tune is generally not heard. Well, it's well known in this country, definitely. Bobby, stop it. Okay? So we're now going to go into a second request now, which comes in from Michelle, which is one of the hymns for Christ the King. So once I sort out this little king, Lion King, I will hand over to Michelle to announce this hymn.
I may not be the only person to request this hymn for this week, but just in case it didn't quite make the list, would you be willing to play Crown Him with Many Crowns? You've played this in my first top 5 several months back, so technically this is a duplicate request. But I can't promise I'll never request it again either. It's up there as one of my favorites. Based on imagery from Revelation 19, verse 12, the original 12 verses, penned by 2 authors, all point to what Christ has accomplished through his death and resurrection. I love this from verse 1. Awake, my soul, and sing of him who died for thee, and hail him as thy matchless King through all eternity. Awake, my soul, and sing. Doesn't get much more motivating than that, does it?
Gerda, I'm glad you're in because, yes, I knew you'd recognize those pictures. Thank you very much for taking them. Those pictures were taken last year when we went over to Haarlem on a family holiday for a week, Haarlem and Rotterdam. Managed to play the organ both in Haarlem and in Rotterdam, which was a real treat. And Gerda, who's in the chat, was very kind to take those pictures. So thank you very much for those. Michelle, and thank you very much for your great request for Christ the King Sunday. We can't have Christ the King without that one, surely. It's the hymn for Christ the King. Glenn Snyder has asked for a hymn because he simply says, just because. So it's Lead On, O King Eternal. Let's have a look at this. So I've actually, for the first time, I think, ever in virtual church, the first time ever on virtual church, right? This is true. And let me just find this. Lead on. Where is it? Lead on, O King. Lead on, O King Eternal, to the tune Lancashire. First time ever that I've actually set up some sounds in advance, because normally I just, what I like to call smash and grab, pull out some stops and really hope for the best. Hopefully you got the right combination of stops, which, me, doesn't always work. I've always got the tuba coupled to great when the solo is on the tuba, and I want to use the solo as a tuba, the tuba as a solo, and it all goes horribly wrong. So today I've actually set up some sounds, which is why you'll see me going towards the generals, and hopefully it'll be slick. Lead on, O King Eternal, the day of March has come. Henceforth in fields of conquest, thy tent shall be our home. Through days of preparation, thy grace has made us strong. And now, O King Eternal, we lift our battle song. And it is to the tune Lancashire. A beautiful tune, as you have rightly said. It is called Lancashire. Who was it who said? Andrew Luce said, "I don't know this tune, but isn't it lovely?" It is. It is really lovely, isn't it, Andrew? Very simple, and actually some nice harmonic progressions. It's by Henry Smart. Henry Smart was quite a renowned composer back in his day. I wrote a lot of music, organ music, choral music, and orchestral sort of stuff as well. So no wonder it's actually half decent, because it was written by someone who knew what they were doing. Thank you very much, Glenn, for sending it. And your reason? Just because. It's absolutely fine. Why not? So keep your requests coming in for your live requests for Christ the King hymns. So we've had a request from John Fenwick, Christ triumphant ever reigning. And then we've had a request from Richard Allegra, King of Glory, King of Peace. I'm going to have to do something about you, Bobby, I'm afraid. Aren't I? Okay, because I had to make doubly sure that that noise wasn't my tummy. I did panic for a moment. Okay, so Tyler Hyman is coming up next with, I'm about to go and let her out, guys, because she's just, you know what? She wants something, and I think she wants to be let out. So I'll do that now. I can carry on talking, because as you may have seen with my social media, when I put a picture of the organ room online, it's not a particularly big room. Come on, out. Out now. You're being a bit of a nuisance, darling. You've had your moment of fame. Come on. This way. There we go. There we go. Yeah, social media. Took a picture of the room, showing off the carpet in its full glory. Yeah, so it's a nice room, but it's just taken over by the organ. There's nothing else really in here. There's a dining room table and chairs over there. There's the VIP seat, which is news. Envelopes. About time, right? Envelopes arrived on Friday. They actually came on Friday or even Saturday. No, they came on Saturday. They arrived on Saturday. So they are packaged up. We've got quite a lot there to send out. So they'll be sent out first thing in the morning. Our postman's coming. He's not going to know what hit him. I'm going to have to apologise. But he's very good, our postman. So if you've ordered a calendar, there they are. There they are. Okay? So if you haven't ordered a calendar, what are you playing at? They're on the beautyinsound.co.uk website. I'll show you in a minute. They're really cool. Okay, let us build a house where love can dwell and all can safely live. A place where saints and children tell how hearts learn to forgive. This has come in from Tyler Hyman, who says, "Can you please play All Are Welcome?" I hope this is the right tune. Yes, it is. It's Two Oaks, it's called, and it's by Marty Horgan or Haugen. Okay, let's have a go. my little man walking around the church in Harlem. I played the organ for what would it have been now? About an hour and a half. I played lots of Bach on it. I wasn't really allowed to record it commercially, but I recorded it personally. And whenever I finished playing something big, and the acoustic in there is really quite generous, like you can hear. And Hugo, got a video of him, and he said when I big chord finish, and he goes, "Yay!" I've trained him well. Right, so let's go into. I don't know whether this one is actually a Christ the King hymn. I suppose you might find some correlation with it. Subliminally, I guess, I don't know. But it's Thou Whose Almighty Word, to the tune Moscow, as it ought to be pronounced, not Moscow. Where is it? Thou Whose Almighty, thou whose almighty word. There it is. It's coming from Llanfair. It looks like a Welsh name, but it might not be. He just says, the world could use some light. Thou whose almighty word, chaos and darkness heard, and took their flight. Hear us, we humbly pray, and where the gospel day sheds not its glorious ray, let there be light. Is anybody in today for the first time? A big shout out to anyone who is in for the first time. Tonight we have a very special guest in the producer's hot seat. Good chappy who's chatting away is in the hot seat. Is doing a very good job so far. So thank you for keeping on top of those so many requests we've had so far. 2 requests so far. Carrot says, your son gave a loud cheer after the 32s in St. Anne. Yeah, at the end of the fugue. I think that was the one, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, well, let's have a go at this one. What should we use? So there's a bit of a funky registration that you can use on this organ. If I press, what do I need to press? Maybe if I press, do this. If you're, I'll put the registration on the screen, but you can create a nice cornet sound on the Hoostwerk quite easily. Happy with that? Yeah. Accompanied by just a little bit of choir or positive, and yeah, I'll give you the stops on the screen so you can see what I'm using, if you're so interested. Some of you are, some of you aren't. Marcus. There you go. The commenter, the requester had beat me to it. Clanfair or Lanfair is the name of the guy who requested it, not the name of the tune. I can't quite remember what tune Lanfair is, actually. So how do I pronounce your screen name? Is it in the Welsh sort of way, or just Lanfair? So I've got a voluntary lined up, by the way, later on, relevant for Christ the King. It's going to be very interesting to see whether it works on this organ. But if you want me to play any Bach or any Buxtehude or anything Baroque, let me know, and I'll see if I can play it. Okay, so get requesting. It's how I earn a living these days. So it might help. Right, so Danny K, Danny boy. Are you in? Are you in? Are you in? He's not chatting. He's staying very quiet. He's listening intently. Is Daniel Kubacki? Because you're up next, my friend. You sent in a request along with a recording. So that's what's coming up. I'm going to hand over to Daniel, who's going to announce it himself. Here he is. I told you, listening intently. He's just chilling. He's chilling. Headphones on. He's chilling. Zen. It's Zen. Daniel, over to you. You announce this hymn in your Zen, relaxing voice.
Hi, Richard. This is Daniel Kubacki. My request for virtual church is I Sought the Lord, to the tune Peace. It is a very short hymn of only 3 verses, but the text is beautiful, and so is the tune. Let me give you an example of one of the verses. Verse 1. I sought the Lord, and afterward I knew. He moved my soul to seek him, seeking me. It was not I that found, O Savior true. No, I was found of thee.
Yeah, as Daniel says, it's a very short hymn, only 3 verses, but actually a very, very pretty and nice tune, which I'd never heard before. I don't quite know what I think the tune might be called Peace. It does say Peace there, but it doesn't really say whether that's the name of the tune or whether just the editor just decided to write Peace for some reason. Maybe to inspire a bit of stillness in our lives, I don't know. But I assume the tune is called Peace. Okay, Marcus, we'll see that. Where is it? Is it in a NEH or anything like that? It must be an NEH. Okay, so the next hymn that we have is a bit of a cheeky number. It's coming from Benjamin Yao, who says, I chanced upon this familiar tune when listening to Aaron Copland's Appalachian Spring. And it turns out to be a 19th century tune within the Shaker community, okay, in Maine, the US. Happy Thanksgiving to our American community. Okay, it's a nice reason to request something. Absolutely cool. So let's go in with, okay, a bit of excitement to begin with. And it's, I danced in the morning when the world was begun, and I danced in the moon and the stars and the sun. And I came down from heaven and I danced on the earth. At Bethlehem I had my birth. Did I see Will chatting in the live chat? Will, who was here just yesterday. Have you recovered from your experience of playing the organ? It's quite an experience, isn't it? Maybe let people know in the chat, your fellow listeners, what did you think to the organ? How does it feel and how does it sound? I think people are very interested to sort of know how it feels in real life, because it's very different in real life than it is on the screen, isn't it? really have to play into these keys. So even though this is a very modern touch, very light, and there is a danger that it might, in some senses, make you play in a very lazy way because you don't really have to make it work. That's one of the dangers about these modern organs, of course. The real organ in Haarlem is really, you really have to be at one with it. It's like these big mechanical organs like Saint Sulpice, for example, which I have played, and Saint-Ouen in Rouen, which I haven't played. But you have to be at one with the keys. So what I find with this organ and the sample set is actually faithful to this. You have to not rush it because the speech of the pipes is not as immediate as somewhere like Redcliffe or even Romsey for that matter. The speech is actually a little bit slow. So which is why I'm playing things just a little bit under tempo to give the pipes chance to speak and for that speech to really fully form and project into the building. And it also, I think, rewards more legato playing, because if you think about the technique behind legato playing on an organ as opposed to the piano, and in some senses on the piano, but you can use the sustaining pedal on the piano, which you can't on the organ. If you play legato on the organ, a phrase in a legato manner, you are holding the notes down for a longer period of time, rather than if you're playing detached, they're obviously down for a shorter period of time. So I think legato playing on this organ is really rewarded, which is why I think I'm playing more legato here than I normally would actually, despite the acoustic, because the acoustic would encourage you to actually detach a little bit and breathe. But there is a difference between playing in a detached way as opposed to breathing. You can still breathe and give the music space, but play legato. Anyway, organ lesson over. Unless you find that sort of stuff interesting. I don't know. So Stuart is up next. Stuart says, something rare and uplifting. Now, what can possibly be rare and uplifting? Well, these calendars are rare because there are only 100 of them available. If you haven't ordered one yet, I think it's the perfect Christmas gift for anyone who is vaguely interested in these things here, these pipes, or architecture. Let's open it on a random page. Oh, we've gone to Romsey. So you have the organ, and then you have beautiful architecture. So if you don't care about the organ, but you like churches, you're in luck because you have architecture, architecture, architecture. Let's go to Salisbury Cathedral, where you have stunning architecture there, and a picture outside, and of course the organ and its console. Chichester, down in West Sussex, lots of architecture there, and more architecture there, pipes and organ. So if you are interested in organs and the buildings in which they sit, this is the calendar for you. I'm going to leave that there. Right, let's go into our next request, which comes in, as I said, from Stuart, who says something rare and uplifting. Well, what could that possibly be? What is rare and uplifting? It is, before the Ancient One, Christ stands, enrobed in cloud and bright as snow. 5 wounds imprint his side, feet, hands, and thorns, the garland on his brow. And so on. This is I don't know what this is, which hymn book this is from, so I can't tell you. So I can say the number is 953, but that, of course, that is so useless if you don't know what hymn book it's in. No, I don't know. But there we go. So if maybe you know it. perhaps you don't. But if you don't, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much, Michael, for your 10 Australian dollars, I think. Is that what that is? I really appreciate that. And just make sure I'm up to date with a bill. You've sent in a donation. Thank you very much. Well, of course, we'll play It Is a Thing Most Wonderful. Michelle, very generous donations. Thank you very much. All hail the power of Jesus' name to the tune Coronation. Ah, I see what you did there. Subtle. I like subtle. Okay, number 8. And let's have a go at this, which comes in from Stuart. as Barbara has just said, lovely tune. I completely agree. Very nice. Very sort of just ethereal, isn't it? Just, you could almost not sing. I can just imagine sort of being in a church with this sort of acoustic and just having an instrument play it, or actually a solo voice just singing it. And it doesn't really feel to me like I'm sort of not imagining a large congregation singing it. Just imagining a solo voice singing, like a cantor singing it, just beautifully during communion or something. And just a congregation just listening and enjoying it and letting it wash over them. So Sean Pear, yes, you were actually, as far as I can remember, you were the first person to order one. So yours is right down there. In fact, I think I can probably see it. I think I know exactly which one yours is. So there it is. So we got Julian, William, Catherine, Philip, Andrew, Jason, Paul, Susan, Sean, Caroline, Robert, Dennis, Katrina, Dave, Sally, Gareth, Randall, Gemma, John, Glenn, Charles. So many people and there as well. I really do appreciate you supporting me and having faith in me to buy BIS merch. And I do apologise for it taking so long. As you know from last week, the envelopes took a long time to arrive. So it was all about the supply chain, unfortunately. So the calendars have been here for a while, but I can't post them just naked. They have to go in something. They have to be dressed. So the envelopes have only just arrived, so they'll be sent out tomorrow morning. As I said earlier, our postman quite simply will not know what hit him. He's going to come to the door. I'm going to go, here you go. Maybe I should give him a calendar just to soften the blow a little bit. Do you think he'll want an organ calendar? Oh dear. So let's go on now. So that was a beautiful tune. Thank you very much, Stuart. Let's go into question for you guys. I'd like to ask you questions. I'd like to get you involved. Which organ? I guess this really applies to the organists in the chat. But if you're an organ fan, if you like listening to organ music, I guess you could answer this. Which organ really, if you played it or listened to it, which organ really grabbed you by the scruff of the neck and made you listen? Like it really sort of got your attention, not in your own country. So for me, I think it would probably be this organ, actually. Playing this organ was I would say a life-changing experience because it really changed my outlook on organs. It did. It's just amazing. So which organ for you then, outside of your own country, really inspired you and really, really moved you? God of our fathers, whose almighty hand leads forth in beauty all the starry band of shining worlds in splendour through the skies, our grateful songs before thy throne arise. And this is coming from Alex S, who says, love playing this on full organ with the fanfares. Well, I won't do it all on full organ. I will do some of it on full organ. So yes, we'll do the fanfares, obviously, because there would be an uproar if we didn't do the fanfares. So let's get those reeds fired up. So there they are. Okay. So, Alex S., God of our fathers, by almighty hand. I hope that was okay for you. A bit of full organ towards the end there. But this organ isn't really, it's not the sort of organ that's meant to be played full organ all the time, actually, because it's so bright. The mixtures are really big. And it has 1684 reeds on the grate or the Hauptwerk or the Hufwerk, whatever you want to call it. But you use that sort of stuff really sparingly, because this organ, you have to be sympathetic to it, because it's a very old thing. This organ, she's very, very old, like from the 17. Was it 17? What's the date? 1730s. And it's now electric, as in the bellows, the air is electric. It's all mechanical, of course, still. But back when it was installed, back when Mozart and Handel were playing the organ, it used to be pumped. And you imagine pulling out all of those stops, all of that air going through all of those pipes. They would have been red in the face, let me tell you. So it's a sort of organ, it's not designed to be played loud, constantly, continually, sparingly, of course. And I think this organ is at its best, actually, at the sort of the MF to F and the FF sound. I think when you get to FFF, when you've got everything on, it actually just somehow doesn't quite. It's almost like the big reeds are an afterthought. I love the plenums on this organ. I love the mixtures on it, particularly the Scherp, which is this one, was added a bit later by Markson. So this is the original mixture. I think there's a 10-rank mixture, is that right? And then there's the Scherp here. And actually, they do go well together, because this is more of sort of a lower mixture, isn't it? It's not as bright, but then you add the Scherp on. But then you've got the mixtures on the lower manual and on the swell as well. So this is with the choir coupled through with the mixture, and then this swell, and then you can bring all of those mixtures together. And then there are other mixtures. There's cymbals or cymbals, which are like ridiculously high and squeaky. So I don't tend to use those quite as much. They're not my sort of taste. And then there's the reeds. But I think the organ is at its best at that sort of this sort of level, I think. Maybe with some of the reeds. But what a wonderful thing it is, this old girl. Scott Flanagan has asked for "Before the Ancient One, Christ Stands." He says, "We learned this hymn at church about a year ago, when the new supplement to the ELW came out." Didn't know that. There's a supplement to the ELW. Like the ELW wasn't big enough already. It is a unique tune with amazing text, starting with his death on Calvary on verse 1, to his love and compassion in verse 2, ending verse 3 with the call for us to love like he loved, and that love may herald God's domain. May herald, I think, may herald God's domain. And then Scott also says, "Please pull out all the stops for this grand hymn. Before the Ancient One, Christ stands." Well, hang on. We've already had that one. What on earth have I just done? I've done something really silly. Hang on about. Oh, I've muddled up. What? Oh, that's very right. Okay, so I've made a bit of a blunder. Did anyone not notice this? I could just have carried on without noticing. So here's a blunder. You know the hymn that I played a minute ago, and I said it was like really beautiful and ethereal, and it would have been like, I think, suited to a cantor singing it. You know, the one which went like this. You know the one, right? Now, and I said that was requested by Stuart, who said something rare and uplifting. That wasn't at all what he requested. Scott, who said all of that wonderful text just now, requested that one, and he wanted that one on full organ. Wow. Well, Scott, I'm sorry, but I didn't play it on full organ. I played it on the opposite. But perhaps you can go back, you can listen to that and let me know in the comments what you think to that interpretation of it. So Stuart did actually request, "Behold a host arrayed in white." And this is the one where Stuart says something rare and uplifting. This one, I do apologize. I'm really sorry. These things happen. Okay, so let me just play this one now. How does this one go? Okay, I think I worked it out. Sorry, Stuart, and sorry, Scott. Please do forgive. Very beautiful tune as well. So thank you very much, Stuart, for requesting that one. I'm really sorry once again for mixing up those two hymns. It's because the first word is behold, and the first word for the other one was before, and they were next to each other. And I just got it wrong, because why I'm sorry. Okay, so Heki has a bit of bad news. Has received some bad news this week. So I'm very sorry to have to say that Heki's dad passed away on Friday morning, and would therefore like to request one of his favourite hymns. Of course, I'll play that. I just need to find my email. There it is. Right, so this hymn is Salvation unto us is come through God's free grace and favour. Our works could not avert our doom. They keep and save us never. Faith looks to Jesus Christ alone, who did for us the world atone, our Lord and our Redeemer. So yes, devastating news. Let's just bear Heki and all of his family in our minds as we listen to this hymn. So the tune, the melody, is by Richard Fulton of 1903. my deepest and most sincere condolences and thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, and anyone else who may have been through a very tough time recently. I'm with you in spirit. Okay, so that actually brings a close now to the pre-requested hymn section of Virtual Church. So we now go into, we haven't got a top 5 lined up for tonight, unfortunately, but we will be getting back into the top 5s soon. So if you want to get sending me your top 5 hymns, we're getting into, goodness me, we're in Advent next week, aren't we? It's Advent Sunday next weekend. Crikey. So someone's going to have to do a top 5 Advent hymns. Has to be recorded though now. That's going to be a good one. Top 5 Advent, and then we get the Christmas. Top 5 Christmas hymns. Maybe someone could do a top 5 Christmas hymns, not including the obvious choices. And you know the obvious choices, don't you? You know the obvious ones. So maybe someone could do a top 5 hymns for Christmas, and that includes carols, which are not the mainstream. So not necessarily what you might consider to be, all-time greats, but an alternative top 5, I suppose. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, so I'll leave that one with you. Please do get in touch with those. I would like to play some organ music. I've got Bach lined up. Where's my Bach? Oh, it's all on the iPad, of course. So all you need to do is ask, and put $1 or $2 in the tip jar, and this performing monkey will perform away. So let's now have a really good hymn 4, which is relevant for today. Christ the King Sunday. John Fenwick has asked for Gwitting Power, Christ Triumphant. Gwitting Power, yes. Where do we find that in here? What's the first line? Christ Triumphant, of course it is. Christ Triumphant. There we go. If anybody wants, by the way, if anybody wants to order a calendar during this virtual church, and you want me to sign a particular date, maybe your birthday or the present recipient's birthday, perhaps, I will write a message in that birthday in my neatest handwriting. I haven't got great handwriting, but I'll try. So yeah, they are going very quickly. We've got about 40 left, 35 left or something. Started with 100, and they've sold nearly 2/3 of them in just a couple of weeks. So here we go. Christ Triumphant. I saw the internet stuttering too. I wouldn't worry too much. I think it literally is, as Marcus has just said. I think it is. It's be out of my hands. I was in Romsey today, and there's no phone signal in Romsey today, and the little phone signal that he got was unusable. No internet, no data, and I think it's the weather. I think it's so there must have been a mast that's come down. You know, our broadband goes under the floor somehow, but there's been a lot of rain, right? So rain and electrics. So all of those, you know, those what do you call them, boxes, can't be very happy with all this rain and wind, right? So if it is stuttering, I do apologize, but there's nothing that I can do. I know it's okay here. It's sort of out in the real world. Okay. Hopefully we'll get through though. So Bobby, I saw Bobby ask earlier on about Redcliffe. What did you ask me about Redcliffe? I saw that as I was playing. I didn't have a chance to hone in on it. Easy. Here we go. So Bobby Hendley says, so if St Mary Redcliffe is your favourite Harrison, which is your favourite Willis? Lincoln Cathedral, Bobby. It is absolutely Lincoln. I mean, I think Lincoln is just an all-round fabulous instrument. It's not quite as colourful as Redcliffe, actually, but it certainly is. What Lincoln has going for it is the acoustic, of course, and I experienced a little bit of that the other day by putting Redcliffe into Gloucester Cathedral, and it sounded amazing. I mean, you heard the very short clip of the Willen, didn't you? You know, you heard that. Not on the flutes, but on those sizzling strings. It really sounded good. So Lincoln, I would say, I prefer Lincoln to Salisbury in some ways. Truro is very fine. Truro is more than fine. It's amazing. But it's just, Lincoln has a bit more to it. You know, it's got more two swell boxes, more strings, and a bit more colour. Salisbury is just very refined and very loud in the building. It's very exciting. So I would say Lincoln, but actually, Bobby, more broadly, to answer your question, I guess, if you're asking what is your favourite organ in this country, I genuinely would say Redcliffe. Now, I having gotten to know that organ literally inside out, I know every single pipe of that instrument now. I would say that it is actually my favourite thing. I love it. And I know people who are in the chat who actually have it. They have the sample set. And I think a lot of positivity has been spoken about with regards to it. So I'm very excited to get it out into the real world in just under 2 weeks' time. Very apprehensive, very nervous, very anxious about it, of course. But I'm very excited to finally put it out there. But it is sounding really good. Jerry and I, who are making it, Jerry's doing all of the programming, the software, and I'm doing all of the audio. We are just tweaking away, making changes here and there, and it's getting better and better and better. And I was there, as you know, giving a recital a couple of weeks ago. I took it with me, the sample set with me, and did a lot of voicing whilst I was there. Crikey, those great trombas, let me tell you, are massive, and I had forgotten just how big they are. So they've gone right up. So Marcus, those trombas are now even bigger. The swell is even bigger, and various bits of regulating between the divisions. And the bells have now been added. King of glory, King of peace, I will love thee. I think our internet is actually playing up a little bit because I can see myself stuttering. Is it being a little bit of a nuisance? Is it manageable? Let me know. Is it getting a little bit annoying? So this has been requested by Richard Allegra, who sent in $4.99. Thank you very much, Richard, for that. King of glory, King of peace, I will love thee. So yeah, I can see it clipping away, and I've now also just got a warning from in the YouTube channel itself, which says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Well, I can see that, but I can't do anything about it, unfortunately. Good chappy, can you let me know? The picture stuttering is coming and going. The sound is okay. So the sound is okay. So that's the main thing, I think. Close your eyes and just switch off from me. Well, no, you do that anyway. But I mean, close your eyes and listen is what I mean. Okay, so thank you very much for requesting that one. Richard. Okay, so Marcus has sent, because we got a little bit confused with the hymn Llanfair earlier. So let's now have a look at the actual tune, Llanfair, which is number 167 in Common Praise. It's almost like, it's Peter, it's almost like Josh or James is doing it. You're doing it exactly the same way. So this is good stuff. This is good. Oh, here it is. Of course, it's this one. Of course. Now you've put it in front of me. I know exactly which hymn this is. So we start off with a full plenum sound, I suppose. And then we'll take it down. Oh, look who's back. Look who's back, Bobby. 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 I didn't say what it was. It's hail the day that sees him rise, alleluia, to his throne above the skies, alleluia. Christ the Lamb for sinners slain, alleluia. enters now the highest heaven. Alleluia. There we go. Hail the day that sees him rise. Wonderful words by Charles Wesley, tuned by Llan Fair. As requested by Marcus, because we've got a little bit in the muddle with the tunes earlier. But it's good to hear that one now. Mark Burbridge says, really great to hear it. The quiet stop sounded good, and the full organ lacked depth and true depth of bass and brilliance of the mixtures. Well, that's simply because there were two reasons for that. So, first reason, halfway through the recital, I blew one of the speakers. So, that wasn't much fun. And the second reason is actually the speakers that we were using were all older than me. So they were from I think quite literally, the 60s, 1960s, 1970s. But the real organ, and I'm sure people are watching who have it, will attest that it does not lack brightness at all. The mixtures on the grate and the swell are very, very bright indeed. But in Gloucester, I agree, which is actually why I said at the before I played, I was there for 2 nights in Gloucester, Monday, Tuesday night, and spent most of the time setting it up, getting it working, and moving the speakers around, at the expense of doing any practice. So it's a good job that I managed to set everything up here and then just took it and then just played it. There's only 1 or 2 changes that I made, but yeah. So I was setting everything up to make it sound as good as possible, because when I first plugged it all in, I thought, oh, this is not quite as I was hoping it to sound. But like you say, the quieter stuff, I think you'll agree, the Whitlock, the folk tune and the allegretto, to my ears, actually just sounded like, yeah, we're in Redcliffe, but with a far more generous acoustic. And they sounded beautiful. The horn on the swell in the folk tune. How did that sound? Did that sound okay? Bobby, you're hogging the camera tonight, Bobby.
Scratched the paint off the door trying to get in.
Well, that's all well and good, but she's. Can you give us some of the bees? The bees and the seeds, please. She might just be desperate for some food. Our Blobby.
Not Bobby.
Anyway, so let's go where we're going to next then. Good chappy. God's Garden of Love. That sounds like a Carry On film. Yeah, okay. Tune, twist, ? Email provided, ? Well, let's have a look. What is that? Oh, the quality is not very good, Dan. Ooh. Let me see if I can. Quality is a bit fuzzy. So, what did he say about this? The tune was composed for me, for Daniel, by Graham Twist. It's a lovely little tune. Eventually, this will be turned into a choral work. He has named the tune Kubaki. The text is from Isaiah and Ezekiel as well. Okay, well, I'll see if I'll put my special glasses on, my de-fuzzy glasses, and I'll see if I can play that. Bobby, they give me a sneeze. I can't read the words. Oh, okay, I can. Just as the earth with blossom springs and garden seeds burst forth in blaze, so God, our Lord, his justice brings, and every nation sings his praise. Okay, so let's see what comes out, shall we? A very nice tune. Thank you very much, Daniel, for sending it through, and well done, Graham, for composing it. Nicely done. Okay, so it just reminds me of the lullaby, which was written by Trevor, with words by Herder and Graham, for Hugo. Let's play that again at some point. Oh, look who it is. Bobby's in the background again. She can't stay away today. All hail the power of Jesus' name, to the tune Coronation. Ah, this is coming from Michelle. Can't see it on my email. Let's see if it is it on my iPad. Go into hymns. All hail the power. The question is, yes, it's the correct tune. Coronation. All hail the power of Jesus' name. Let angels prostrate fall. Bring forth the royal diadem and crown him. Crown him. Crown him Lord of all. And crown him Lord of all. Yes. Let's pull out a lot of stops. Another tune which I've gotten to know through the wonders of virtual church is the same words, but this one. That's called Diadem. And yeah, those are the only two I have on here, but I know there are loads more. Neither of those is actually the one that we have traditionally in our country. Anyway, let's go on before we have a whole VC dedicated to not only Bobby rolling around in the background, but also to different tunes to All Hail the Power of Jesus' Name. So thank you very much, Michelle. You are hugely appreciated. It is a thing most wonderful. And I'm not just talking about virtual church, which it is a thing most wonderful, but I'm talking about the hymn here, to the tune Herongate. And this is coming from Bill, our very own Uncle Bill. Now, Bill, you'll appreciate this. When I went in to see my barber the other day, he said, and Caroline's in earshot, so she won't like this. He said that I should grow my beard because he thinks I could grow a really good beard. And he says I should grow my beard, and he's sort of like, I said, well, I have got a beard, but what do you mean? How long? And he sort of went like that. I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure Caroline would like that. What do you think, Bill? How long is yours? Beard. It is a thing most wonderful, almost too wonderful to be, that God's own Son should come from heaven and die to save a child like me. this organ will do the César Franck very well. And it will do it well because in the building you have a very, very washy acoustic and you can get away with anything. You just need to have sort of careful registration, really. I mean, you haven't got a smooth oboe, but you could probably use or maybe even not use a reed at all, something like this at the beginning. Maybe that. It would work well, actually. I can imagine a very exciting crescendo. Okay, so a couple more requests to get through, and then I've got a very quirky organ voluntary to play tonight. Quirky. So we have to see what that is. I don't know whether it'll work or not. I hope it will, because I'm going to play it, and if it doesn't work, then, well, don't know. What's that? It's a big chunk of cat hair. Thank you, Bobby. Has that been there all evening? So, question then. Back to the beards. Gentlemen, and ladies, perhaps, who's sporting a beard? I know Bill has got one. I didn't know Bobby. He says that he's had a beard for longer than we've been alive. So who's got a full facial hair, and who's got, big beard, manly beard? I think Bill's got about 2 inches, which is not overly long, is it? Quite long, like that. Long enough. Has anyone got a beard longer than 2 inches? Soph says no. Are you talking about the beard? Good chappy says, I have grey stubble. Well, I've got great stubble. Right? I occasionally find a grey hair in there, but I just have to not worry too much about those grey hairs. Oh dear. Built on a rock, the church doth stand has been requested by Glenn. I don't know whether that's not on my email, Glenn, though. Yeah. Okay. Virtue and Kirken, I think. Is it? Yes. Yeah, so the words are, you might know the words, I think we have done this before. Built on the rock, the church shall stand, even when steeples are falling. Crumbled have spires in every land. 'Tis true. Bells are still chiming and calling the young and old to rest, but above all the soul distressed, longing for rest everlasting. This is a pretty cool tune. I like this. This is another example of a tune that I did not know at all prior to these virtual churches. So, Fub Freeman is about 2 centimeters. Ooh, we've got a long way to go yet, I think. Andrew Luce hasn't had a beard for about 45 years. It didn't meet with the approval of the one who matters. Bobby had started shaving at the age of 11. 11? Wow. I always actually remember people at school in my year with beards, and they always seemed like really old. Because back then I couldn't grow a beard. And there was a couple. There was one guy in particular who could grow a really good beard, even when he was at school. He looked like one of the teachers. He just somehow commanded respect because he had a beard. He was like doing something that no one else could do. Rather reminiscent, I think, of Jesu Meine Freude, don't you think? Certainly elements of the tune which are quite similar. Actually, that now brings a close to all of the requests that we've had tonight. So the pre-requests and live requests have all been completed. So you've had, I don't know how many hymns, 7 hymns requested live. I think it was 12 or 13 hymns pre-requested. An organ piece at the beginning and an organ piece right now. So this is the one that I thought, you know, I'm two minds, shall I play this or shall I not play this? But, you know, life is all about taking risks. Life is all about having fun. You miss 100% of the shots that you never take. So I think in that token, we ought to take a risk and play Crown Imperial by William Walton. I wonder whether this piece has ever been played on this organ before. Probably has on the sample set, but I mean in real life, I don't know. So as I was saying earlier about the way this organ needs to be played, there's a lot of movement in this piece, a lot of fast notes, and this organ wouldn't be able to keep up with all of those fast articulations. So I'm just going to take the edge off, I think, and just give the piece, I think, a little bit more weight, I think, and a bit more, sort of a bit more space. Also, that will allow me to work out how on earth I'm going to register this, because I don't know. I've got some pistons set up, but a lot of it's going to have to be done on the fly. Let's plug in the iPad just in case we run out of juice. Okay, so I'll see you on the other side of this. One of these stops has a very noisy... Right, so here we go. Crown Imperial by William Walton on the organ for which it was written, the Müller organ in the St. Boberkerk in Haarlem in the Netherlands. I'd love to play that in the real church with someone stood here and someone stood here doing all the stops for me, because it would be hard work, but it would be so rewarding to play it on that organ. It would be doable, and the organ would definitely do it. But it would require, the thing is with English music and American as well, all of those crescendos and all those diminuendos and crescendos again and then diminuendos again. But these European organs in Germany and the Netherlands, they're not really designed for that. They're designed for one registration, play, gap, change registration, play the next phrase. But the way that the Walton is crescendo, then take it back down, then up, and then down. But I think the organ did well. So the reason why it was a little bit under tempo and a little bit all over the place was because you got to really sort of play to the organ, make sure that the organ can speak, make sure the speech is given enough time for it to really sort of project into the building, and also having to work out what on earth to do with how to register it. But there we go, it's fun. So Crown Imperial by William Walton brings a close to today's virtual church, which was for Christ the King Sunday. So we had hymns for Christ the King, and of course we had hymns not for Christ the King. And the voluntary Crown Imperial is, I think, a wonderful piece for Christ the King. Thank you to everyone who has donated, including Good Chappie, Sean Pear, Sean Pear, who I didn't quite play your piece because I think I might need to relearn it myself. But I'll definitely, because it has been asked a few times that I've played that, so I will make sure that I do play it. Glenn, Michael, Bill, Michelle, Marcus, Richard, John, and others as well. Thank you very much for your donations tonight. It really means a lot. Thank you to Good Chappie as well for stepping into the hot seat tonight and doing an excellent job with the producing behind the scenes, keeping me on the straight and narrow and telling me what to do, particularly when it gets into this sort of the live requests section, because I rely on someone to tell me what to play when we get into this section. So thank you very much, Peter, for doing all of that. Does no European builder do crescendo pedals? Does no European builder? It's a double negative, isn't it? Do you mean do any? I'm not sure the question. Do any European builders do? Yes. I mean Riga do crescendo pedals, of course. A lot of European organs actually have crescendo pedals. The new ones in Germany, well, yeah, and the old ones, and 100%. Yeah, a lot of organs in Germany have crescendo pedals. Chester Cathedral has a crescendo pedal. That's a Rushworth and Draper. And I guess a few other organs in this country have them. I think Hull City Hall has one as well. I don't think the Albert Hall has one. There must be others as well, but okay, right. Where are we? Yes, so Bach Organ Recital is coming your way a week on Wednesday. So 7 people are coming to play this organ. One of the reasons for me playing this organ tonight is to go back to listen to the stream to make sure the organ sounds good, and I make various tweaks to make it sound good for these kids and adults. There's a whole wide, diverse selection of people playing. It's really, really wonderful. All Bach on this sample set on the 4th of December, entirely live. So they'll all be sat in this room. There'll be 8 of us in the room, and then might be 15 people in total in the house, not including Caroline and the children, of course. So it's going to be a full house, but it's going to be electric. It's going to be alive. So put that in your diary. Wednesday, the 4th of December, 8 o'clock UK time, live here on Virtual Church. But stuff before that, of course, if you haven't seen my Redcliffe video that I put online yesterday of me playing this little ditty. the Pastor Carly and C minor, it's online yesterday, and as someone said in the comments, it almost sounds like a real organ. Yes, it is, because it's not a sample set. Nigel Gunn, thank you very much for doing that. And Kosh as well. Well, thank you very much. That's extremely generous. I'm sorry that I have to draw it to a close. But we've been going for 2.5 hours, so if you want to go back and have a listen, that would be amazing. 31 new channel members tonight. Thank you. Thanks to Bill, Nigel, and Kosh for doing that. So, amazing. We can end on a very positive note. Yay. All right. See you all next time. You take care. And as always, you stay safe. Cheerio.